most women, especially marriage minded women, really value that traditional dynamic. Yes, in the Western world, some women have fought for those rights. However, those women are not necessarily the women that we're talking about, right? The marriage minded ones. Where I do disagree with you is that men have not changed. Because if they had not changed, there wouldn't be this influx of men asking for 50-50 relationships and women pushing back on that, seeking something a little bit more traditional. So I don't know that I agree with you that men have not adjusted to modern times. I think men are also pushing for these dynamics because it's beneficial to them.
You have to be married, and you're going to notice that, because the realization for that for Western women is just delayed to maybe 45 now, when it used to be early 20s, it used to be early 30s. Now you're going to realize it later because you have more opportunities. You have to realize that the Western world and everything y'all got is a result of what y'all asked for. Men didn't set you up like this. You set yourself up. You said you wanted to work. You said you wanted to vote. You said you wanted to be in the military. You got every single thing you asked for. And what most women realize, it didn't stop them from wanting what they traditionally wanted. You wanted kids, but you didn't make a mental or physical allotment to be a mother and a career woman, right? Because you have to think everything that you are now, there is not much difference between a successful man and a successful woman. We make the same mistakes. We have the same characteristics going on in our life. A great businessman struggles to be a good father. Guess what a great businesswoman does? Struggles to be a good mother. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. And that's what women are really grappling with now. And the part where women are actually wrong is you expect your man's role to change because of something you want. Our role is the most rigid role in history. Men have not changed. Throughout history, we have always required the same things, and we will always want the same things to keep us going. Smart women understand, and let me just say this part. Um, what really is happening now is that women resent their roles. They don't want it. You think gender roles are negotiable and you're trying to negotiate them, but men aren't really having it. So it's not that men won't do this and men won't do that. We weren't designed to do it. That's why we're terrible at it. We have strengths in certain places. And especially black men, you got to understand this. Black men in America, 70% of them were raised by single mothers. They are the most agreeable men in America to anything a woman wants because of that fact. You want him to help you with the dishes? He'll do it. He grew up washing dishes. You want him to help you fold laundry? His mama made him do that. You see what I'm saying? So you have more agreeable men in America than you've ever had, but women are struggling on their end trying to say that men aren't compensated correctly.
So, Trigger Mike, I agree with, I guess, 90% of what you've said, right? I think that most women, especially marriage minded women, really value that traditional dynamic. Yes, in the Western world, some women have fought for those rights. However, those women are not necessarily the women that we're talking about, right? The marriage minded ones. Where I do disagree with you is that men have not changed. Because if they had not changed, there wouldn't be this influx of men asking for 50-50 relationships and women pushing back on that, seeking something a little bit more traditional. So I don't know that I agree with you that men have not adjusted to modern times. I think men are also pushing for these dynamics because it's beneficial to them to have a 50-50 relationship financially and still have the woman taking care of the household burdens.
So I don't think men are asking for 50-50. So if you if,
Mm-mm-mm.
hold on, Cheeky, hold on, Cheeky. Let me put it in context. Go on my page when you get a chance. I just did something called the truth about 50-50. The difference between what's going on now, remember, I said this is everything y'all asked for. The truth is that in some way, shape, or form throughout history, women have always done something that can be defined as you pulling your own weight. You've always done what was necessary to do within your family that your husband needed for you to do. So whether it's you work, remember, we all got the same 24 hours, whether it's you and you want to go to work, nobody's making you go to work. You want to go to work, therefore your contribution is financial. You pay for somebody else to watch the kids so you can work on your career because you went and got a degree, if that's what you want to do. If the average or modern woman wanted to live under what the average man could provide, y'all would be doing that. Like most of these ethnic cultures do. Mexicans do it, South Americans do it. $40,000 a year, they'll make it work in a house. You see what I'm saying? So it's not that we're asking for 50-50. We're asking women to do what they've always done, which is pull their own weight. The issue now is that women want to be what was the topic? Women of leisure. You see what I'm saying? They want to be women of leisure and do nothing, which is traditionally not what women have done, especially women with kids.
And I want to say real quick, and then also too, it's like in 50-50 situations, whether it's the man or the woman is asking for it, say 50-50, and then the man comes home and doesn't do anything, and the woman has to do everything around the house. Sometimes I think then women will maybe, they won't act as feminine then. And it's like, I guess you could say and argue that the man is then losing out from that side of things. So it's like they're both kind of giving and taking. And this is not always the case, I'm sure, but I'm just guessing if these are how the dynamics are going. But I, just to answer or to speak on this real quick, I think that relationships do benefit, romantic relationships do benefit the woman in the sense that you get in a relationship to, well, when you're at least older, to vet all the buzzwords, to vet a man. And usually when I think of these topics, I think of a man that I want to be with. My husband, of course. I'm not thinking of all the trash guys out there, so when I'm speaking on this topic, I'm thinking of him. So when we started dating, of course I benefited. I enjoyed spending time. We had lots of, great times together. And of course he paid for things, but I did too. We were long distance, things like that. So if I want marriage and dating or vetting is a prerequisite, then of course I'm benefiting because this is a part of the process. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this. Maybe I'm off, but I think women benefit.
So okay, let me welcome you to being a black woman. Most of the
Okay.
time, we can be in a relationship for years, and guess what never happens? A marriage.
Well, guess what? My husband, who, well, he was raised by a single mom, and I pretty much thank Kevin Samuels for me being married, honestly, because when I started watching him, I was like, oh, I need to start focusing on this. And I started pushing for it. I had never considered it or known in him being raised the way that he was. He had fears. And I'm being completely transparent, but I'm okay with it because I think it's good for people to know. Um, yeah, it is.
I broke
Are
my
you good?
I thought that was a
Oh,
soundbite.
in my dining room glass, and y'all, I still pay a lot of money for my glasses, so it's kind of heartbreaking right now. So I'm just gonna cry on the inside. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Coach K.
no, you're good. You are good.
That was actually
Um,
Kevin Samuels from Beyond the Grave. It was his
Actually, I agree
spirit.
with that. I think Kevin Samuels opened my mind up to a couple of things too, but that's not the conversation. But go
That
ahead.
no, I'm saying that was his spirit that knocked that whatever.
And he's saying,
uh,
is he saying she lying or something?
oh
No,
no,
he's
that's what
saying,
I was thinking.
No,
Everything
no,
else.
no.
no,
He's
that was
saying,
actually like a
I'm
mic
not
he's
drop.
lying.
saying, watch yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, I'll just be quick. So, basically, I wasn't marriage minded, or honestly, the feminine stuff really I needed to hear. And I was raised by a single dad, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. But either way, you could say I was a modern woman. But so marriage happened because listening to him, we started having those conversations and we worked through his fears, which were a lot of the fears that men have, that I hear men talk about in this space. And pretty much just, I guess, expressing my awareness of those things and how he knows I'm in this space. And I'm passionate about these topics and how I want to do things differently than our parents did. And I'm also a life coach, so I don't believe that there's really anything that we can't work out because I know how to manage my mind and be responsible for me. And as far as like how I act, and he's the same, and he's a great man. So it's like that's actually why we got married. So although I'm white, I'm actually kind of with you in a sense. But yeah, so I will I I thank Kevin Samuel seriously, because otherwise we've been together 6 years. Otherwise we would not be married.
So let me just
Thank God for the black man, huh?
So let me just clarify and I agree. There were some things I learned from Kevin. We can have a whole good discussion on Kevin Samuels, honey. Let me clarify. When I speak of there are women, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about statistics show. Most kids born out of wedlock they're cohabitating, 60%. I'm talking about the stats, not myself, the stats. So if you're living with a woman, you're doing all of these things, she gets pregnant and it does not work out. Now she's a single mom, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm referring to.
You make it sound like women are blow-up dolls. Like they have
no. What I'm saying is somebody in the chat stated something, and I want to.
Okay.
They were like, "Oh, that you're not getting picked because you're." And I wasn't speaking on myself. I was speaking on the way it is. That's just the way it is. There are a lot of women in long-term relationships, and they're not leading to marriage. And they're great women, and I wouldn't even say he's not even a great man. It's just not leading to marriage.
So I want us to do something in our minds to all the people watching. Every time we make a reference to something a man did wrong or is not doing, and we reference the woman in that context, I want us to say that the woman allowed after it. Because it can't happen if the woman didn't allow it.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. If the woman allowed, but we're not, listen, if we're gonna I think the problem that I have with this space, let me just clarify, this is not the manosphere. I do not consider this channel to be a part of the manosphere. Now we do welcome manosphere people because we want to have a conversation between men and women so we can better understand each other. But I have men on this panel so you can say what it is for men, and we have women, and we're gonna use them both. We're gonna hear both sides of the story so we can make it. It won't be like men, women. That's why we're here to have this discussion. So when we pick out what men are doing, it's okay for you to come back and say, well, women, blah, 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 blah. But we're not going to change people's words around to fit what we want. Not on this channel. Okay? So we're telling you from our point, and you can come back and say it from a man's point. That's quite okay. Because you're right. They do allow it. But at this point, most women, like Coach K said, you have to go through the dating process. And I think that most women go in with the intent of thinking there was going to be marriage later.
You don't have to go through the dating process. That's actually what is messing it up for women.